Yeah, hello viewers. Welcome to the podcast series on fields and features from Corteva Agriscience. In today, we have a topic on the challenges and best practices, especially the responsible crop protection for increased farmer productivity. I will be moderating today's session. I am Edwin Rogbell, leading the field science function of crop protection discovery and development of Corteva Agriscience, based at Hyderabad. So, start with the introduction about this podcast. We know crop protection is very, very important because the world population is increasing and we need to feed them with the limited land, and the production is very, very important. The productivity depends upon the crop protections. In today's changing weather condition, if you go and check with any farmer, they feel that the weather change is impacting their yield, and also it impacts the crop protection expenses, especially because of the pest and diseases which is attacking their crops. So if it is not taken care well, it will impact our crop yield, especially in cereals, vegetables, and fruits, ranging from 30 to 80% yield loss. So crop protection plays an important role in maintaining the productivity by protecting against insect diseases, pest diseases, weeds, and nematodes, etc. If you see, India plays an important role in exporting major on the insecticides or pesticides. But if you see the usage wise on the unit area, we are less when compared with the USA or Japan and China, and even in other countries. In USA, it stands around 13 kg per hectare, whereas India, the average is somewhere around 300 gram per hectare. So what does it mean? So still the farmers are not able to use the right products, or it's not the crop protections not reached those farmers. So if you see the smallholder, especially in India, the smallholding is the major chunk of our farming. So these smallholders plays an important role, but their awareness is about the crop protection is very, very limited. So from that angle, educating them is very, very important so that they will handle the product well, and so that some of the adverse effect of those product will not impact their life and the environment. By right knowledge, they'll be able to use the right crop protection products, protect the crop against the pests and diseases, maintain the productivity. This will improve their livelihood by increasing their income. So one of the challenges is on the crop protection is the complex in nature. So we need to make an awareness on the right usage of crop protection, especially to our smallholders. Here, the awareness to all the stakeholders, not limited to the policymakers and researchers, NGOs, and other organizations. It's very, very important to disseminate the knowledge about the right usage of crop protection. So with this context, today we are going to discuss and deliberate about this responsible crop protection usage. We have two eminent scientists with us as a panelist. Dr. Balraj Parmar, the former head division of agriculture agrochemicals in Indian Agriculture Research Institute, Delhi, and also Dr. Gururaj Katti, the former principal scientist and head division of entomology, Indian Institute of Rice Research, Hyderabad. So with this, we'll move to the first question about today's topic. So Dr. Palmer and Dr. Katti, what are the some main challenges to effective crop protection in India? From your experience and your perspective, what do you feel those are the important challenges for our responsible usage of crop protection in India?
Well, to my mind, what I have observed over the years, that farmers face several problems. For example, when they need a particular product, for use, at times they complain, the product is not available. So they are totally at the mercy of the dealer, who has to, provide the product, but he's unable to give that product or doesn't give that product, and provides them alternatives, which at times, may not be the farmer's choice. Then dealers tend to be very, irresponsible. I'll give you some of the instances. Their main interest is their own profit. So they give a product. You have written somewhere, you have mentioned in your write up that fake products are there and other. How are these fake products, reaching the dealers? Dealers are aware of those products. So I think these sub-quality, substandard materials that are provided to the farmers, it is by someone, who is interested in his own profits and not in the welfare of the farmer. Then how many, you know, there have been some instances, which I learned when I was active in research, that farmers, wanted, let's say, product to control insects, and they were given a herbicide, saying that it is a very good product, it is used internationally and this and that, but the dealer himself didn't know that insect is different from a weed. So I think this type of things happening, they will definitely be detrimental to the interest of plant protection. Then now we have to, understand another very important parameter, and that is how well qualified are our dealers or our farmers. Can our dealers or farmers identify the pest? Can they identify the right type of product to be used to control the pest? Can they decide the product quality? Do they have any idea about the shelf life of the product, or which formulation to use, which equipment to use, what dilution levels to use? We have product labels, prescribed by the Central Insecticides Board. Most of those labels are not even legible. They are in such small letters. But whenever those are legible, who reads? Let's be very practical. That I'll give you a very simple instance. Buy a car, and they will give you a big book, of instructions. And if you follow those instructions, you can never drive a car. So what I'm saying that what I wish to bring out is that we need to have total knowledge, on the job. Otherwise, it is very difficult, to improve the quality of pest control or pest management. And then there are several other factors. For example, scientifically, we know the shelf life of the product. How many dealers and how many farmers, follow this concept of shelf life? How many of them follow the instructions, to use the product? I have myself seen, farmers using products, mixing the uh, uh, solution for preparing the preparation with a stick, or many times, with hands. And who has instructed them to do that? Farmer himself doesn't do. The labor he employs for the purpose are, very poorly equipped to do the thing. We often talk of protective clothing. How many, persons who spray in the field are using the protective clothing? And not only that, we use with any water that is available in any village. Whereas we all know, who have worked on pesticide formulations to some extent or the other, that the hardness of the water has an impact on the quality of the product that you are going to have. If it is a very high level hard water, the product may even settle. So I think there are several parameters that need to be taken care of. And then coming to the protective clothing, I'll just cite to you a personal experience. We went to the field to do a field trial because we wanted to apply based on that data, for registration of the product with Central Insecticide Board. And all of us, were instructed to wear protective clothing. Believe me, we could not wear those for 15 minutes in the month of June in daily conditions. The protective clothing that we have prescribed is probably developed for use somewhere else. It is not suitable for our conditions. And tell me a single publication or a single researcher who has tried to develop indigenous clothing, indigenous goggles, indigenous, gloves for the use of these people. I think these are some of the points that come to my mind at the first instance. If I have some more, maybe I'll join later. Maybe Dr. Kuti could add, you know.
At the outset, thank you, Dr. Edwin, for giving us an opportunity to share whatever little knowledge and information we have with you. So, at the outset, as indicated by Dr. Parmar, let us examine the issue of crop protection technologies in the changing Indian agriculture. So, when you talk of changing Indian agriculture, it's a multi-dimensional issue, and the first dimension part is the socio-economic dimension. You have already indicated some of the points, but I would like to refresh it saying that, well, it is very clear now that India is the most populous country in the world now. So there are increasing number of mouths to feed, and even in the future also, we expect that the population will increase, though at a lesser rate. So, but one point is very clear: there will be increasing number of mouths to feed, and the demand for food crops, particularly rice, wheat, and millets, will continue to increase, because we generally talk of crop diversification. But in our country, because food is a very important aspect, we definitely like to give some attention to food crops. I mean, continue to give some attention to food crops. This is one of the aspects. The second aspect, as you have already mentioned, the increasing number of farmers, they are mostly small and marginal farmers, with a very significantly low land holdings. So that is a very big challenge for implementation of a crop protection technologies. Now, the other dimension is the climate change impact. You all are aware of the fact that in the last 2 decades, we are finding a very significant change in the carbon dioxide concentration as well as the temperature, which has a direct impact on crop production. Which again, when we consider crop protection as an integral part of crop production, automatically the climate change impact has got a very huge effect on the protection side. So when we say protection side, we generally indicate the impact on the pests which affect crops. Now, pests also, because of the climate change impact, there are two effects. One is the direct effect on crop production, wherein we are finding there are significant changes in farming systems, cropping patterns, which again is leading to the differential pest profiles across the countries. In fact, the pest profiles are not only increasing, but they are also diversifying. That provides a very big challenge for us. Earlier, we only used to talk, when we talk of pests, we only used to talk mostly of insect pests and diseases, but of course, weeds also. But now, in addition to these, we have other important pests like vertebrate pests, nematodes. They are coming into picture, which we used to be significantly minor earlier. So this is another important aspect of this, the dimension of changing Indian agriculture. Now, the third aspect, which is a very, very important aspect, is there have been rapid advances in science and technology. In fact, if you talk of, even if you talk as scientific experts, we are really finding it very difficult to keep in pace with the advances in science technology and their applications in agriculture. So we need to particularly examine the role of these advances and their applications in a country like India, wherein the farmers are small and marginal. They still lack awareness of the advances, and to convince them in the first place to adopt the technology, that is a very big challenge we have. Now, so when you talk of crop protection technologies, most of the time we generally have three major objectives. I think broadly we have three major objectives. One is the crop protection technology should be economically viable, and then it should be environmentally safe, and the third aspect is it should be socially acceptable. Now, in our country, most of the time, the crop protection technologies have been dealt under one term, that is the integrated pest management. Now, but most of the time, we miss the important point that integrated pest management is an integral part of integrated crop management, which again is subsumed under the farming system management. So that is a very broad term. And when we talk of dealing at the farmers level, we have to deal at a very broad level. I remember during our BSc agriculture courses, we used to deal agriculture as one unit, wherein it included horticulture, what veterinary sciences, fisheries, everything. But nowadays, because of the rapid advances and specialization, these sciences are being dealt by specific experts who are specialized in disciplines. So to coordinate all these disciplines, that becomes another challenge for it. So in fact, I remember one word term. So I was talking about the acronym SPAM. In agriculture, presently, soil, plant, and animal management is very equally crucial. Particularly the soil part, most of the time we disregard the soil management, and already you all know that not only due to the climate change impact, but because of the indiscriminate use of agricultural practices, we have not been able to manage the soil well, which has got a direct and impact on crop protection also. Similarly, the animal management, it also becomes very important, particularly in the recent times of organic farming, wherein we will be dependent on organic manures, which are animal-based manures for our agricultural use. So at this point of time, I would like to stop saying that these are some of the issues which I wanted to raise. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Parmar and Dr. Katti, for bringing out these challenges here, starting from the quality product available to the farmers and right product recommendations by the dealer, by the making them aware about the new products, and also educating the farmers how to handle the product at the field, like right usage of PPE, so that we will not be exposed directly. All these are very, very important. And the label, you brought the right point, the label, which should be easy for the farmer to read. I think some of the changes will be is happening on the labels, so that like this we may need to address them. And as Dr. Katti brought, that the socioeconomic is playing important role. Like for example, because of the climate changes, new pest and the pest profile is changing. And because of the technology, new products are available in the market. It should be economically viable, and farmers should know how to handle this. All these points are very, very important. So these will be the challenges for the crop protection usage in India. Let us move to the next question. Under these challenging conditions, how can we promote effective and at the same time safe usage of these crop protection products in India by our farmers?
See, it is primarily to be done through education. We need to have educated dealers, educated farmers, and when that education is lacking, maybe we have to work out some system that provides the right type of environment for plant protection. In our new pesticide bill, a minimum qualification of BSc has been prescribed for the dealers. But I would say, rather, I would very strongly recommend that we should have duly approved, certified agencies which take up the job of total plant protection. When I say total plant protection, I mean they should be able to identify the pest. They should be able to identify which chemical is to be used. They should be identify which formulation of that chemical has to be used. They should be able to identify, what spraying equipment has to be used in keeping in view the environmental pest location and other parameters. They should be, able to not only monitor whether the pest has been controlled or not, but also go up to the end part. Let's say every company claims that our product is the safest. Then if it is the safest, that means there should be no toxic residues at the end of the day when the final produce comes. Dr. Katti pointed out, that environmental component, soil, water, surrounding areas, fields, other fields, effects due to drift and other things. These should become the responsibility of this certified agency. And unless and until, farmer is paying even to the laborer today. If these certified agencies do the job at a reasonable price, I think this is the safest way and most scientific way to manage the plant protection. It is the responsibility of the agency that provides this service, to ensure that their people come with protective clothing, their people know the right technique. And, I would finally like to add, here This is one area where private players should play an important role. I have seen most companies, making big claims that nothing like our product. If it is so, then they take the responsibility. Farmer wants a healthy crop and high yields. If this company assures them, they will naturally be running after this company, in the future. But saying that we have the best product and then not delivering is not fair. And I would say if farmer is not satisfied at the end of the day, the company has to be made to compensate the farmer for the losses he undergoes, by trusting them. So this sort of bluff attitude in industry also needs to be checked up to a considerable extent. So our aim has to be a healthy and effective plant protection. When we say this agency, again I would say the qualified people, for in my to me it seems nothing better qualification than BSc agriculture. Of course, it's for the authorities, for the government people and others to decide whether they want to keep BSc chemistry, BSc entomology or BSc whatever. But I, to my mind, BSc agriculture is the best, because when a person comes from that level, he has a knowledge of multiple disciplines, and he is so fresh and uh, effective with that knowledge that he is the right person to be captured, educated, trained, and made responsible for the job.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Parmar. Dr. Katti,
Yeah,
can we hear
I
from
think
you?
I think at a broader level, if you have to really implement effectively a crop protection technology, it is at the outset we should understand the farmer's decision making process actually, because a farmer's decision making process is a multi-stakeholder situation. There are three major stakeholder levels which are operating at the time of implementation of a crop protection technology. At the farmer's level, the farmer starts taking a decision either in consultation with his neighboring farmers or the pesticide dealers or the persons who are immediately available to him. Even from the state department officials, if they are readily available to him, he takes decision based on their inputs also. This is at the farmers level or the village level. Now, at the scientific level, we have scientific experts belonging to different disciplines. We have state agricultural universities, ICAR institutes, private and public sector organizations, which are developing the technologies, and they have their own recommendations which they want to implement. And most of the time, they submit the recommendations to the government, which will ultimately provide the mechanism for implementation. The third is the policy making. Now, this most of the time we generally disregard the impact of policy making on implementation of a crop protection technology, because most of the time the policies which the government makes has got a very significant impact on the implementation of a crop protection technology. For example, most of the time we disregard the government policy on fertilizer prices. You all know that in the last 2 decades, the government's policy making on prices for fertilizers has been little bit biased in terms of nitrogenous fertilizers. And most of the time, the farmer has used indiscriminately more of nitrogenous fertilizers compared to phosphorus or potassium fertilizer. This is one of the small examples I'm giving. So policy making is also very important, and that reflects in the regulation of the crop protection discipline also. Then on the other level, most of the time when we implement a crop protection technology, when we deal with the problem of integrated pest management, actually, when we say IPM, we generally mean integrated pest management. But actually, we are dealing with the problem of another IPM, that is integrated multiple mindset. Actually, each of the stakeholder, you take ourselves, scientific experts, farmers, each of us has our own mindset, and we always feel that if our mindset decision is not being implemented by the farmer, we feel that he is not doing it at his level. But as I said, it is an integrated multiple mindset. So now a new paradigm shift is going to take place, according to my personal feelings. I feel that now the IPM is going to be intelligent pest management. Now, to take a little bit of more time, I would like to have my own concept of intelligence paradigm management. Now, I call it as IPM, intelligence paradigm management. When I say intelligence, right now there are three types of intelligence operating in the world. One is the human intelligence, which all know that is considered to be most superior. But human intelligence is nothing without the exploitation of genomic intelligence. Now, because of the, in particular, in the last 2 decades, with rapid advances in biotechnology and genetic engineering, we have very significant advances in terms of exploiting genomic intelligence for increasing the crop production, or even in terms of crop protection field also. Now, a new dimension has been added, that is the artificial intelligence. So, in the entomology, we have one tripartite interactions, we generally call it pest, natural enemy, and host. So, similarly, we have now a tripartite interaction happening in the world between among human intelligence, genomic intelligence, and artificial intelligence. So there are few advantages, but it makes the situation a little bit more complicated. Now, artificial intelligence is definitely one way of reducing the impact of human mindset. Now, artificial intelligence can definitely tackle the concept of human mindset, because the biasness will be reduced if you train the machine or the AI properly for the effective implementation of technology. So I would like to stop at this level.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Katti and Parmar. As Dr. Katti brought this new terminology and the integrated paradigm management, especially yes, human intelligence and genomic intelligence and artificial intelligence going to play important one. But at the same time, as Dr. Parmar mentioned, educating the dealers and also to our farmers on right usage and right selection of pesticide, since the new technology is coming up, that's very, very important. So with this background, I would like to ask you to share some positive case stories, especially around the effective and safe usage of crop protection products, which help to improve the agriculture yield and also the farmers' profitability. Can we hear from Dr. Parmar?
Yeah, I think we have generated in the country itself a lot of information on such aspects. So, for example, I fail to understand why we are hesitant to use controlled release products. We know that they do the job at much lower concentration and provide, effective pest control for a very long period. Then, we were at one time, doing very well in the field of synergies for chemicals, for example, synergies for pesticides. After the natural pyrethrins were, away, they went out of circulation. Work on synergies stopped. The reason being, that synergies happen to be more expensive than the chemical themselves. But look at the advantages of synergies, that they can provide. They can break resistance. They can delay the development of resistance. They can reduce the dose of the chemical. They can. I personally feel we should once again get into it, of course, with an additional objective that we identify chemicals which are very, you know, cheap compared to the main insecticide and synergize them at the same time. If that can happen, that will be a very big breakthrough, because say, for example, chemicals like azadirachtin, imidacloprid, these are all accepted molecules, and people are satisfied with their performance. But who look at the cost of now neem pesticide, the way this is going up, and then when you talk of efficiency, the type of efficiency that the farmer wants, we are not able to give them with azadirachtin alone. Azadirachtin will take its own time to provide, the physiological and other, modes of actions that it has. So why not, introduce the concept of instant killing, instant knockdown in the synergy in azadirachtin formulation itself? This can be done. We initiated some work, but unfortunately, the work stops, when the person retires. I retired, and that work stopped. So I think we need to get into this now. Coming up, your company has reported, a fern protein from, I think, Terris species. Terris, some I don't have remember. Maybe I can look for it. It is Terris something. Kratica, Terris kratica. So this is Corteva's finding, and they say that this no resistance can be developed to this product. Similarly, they have reported fish amino acids, which are very effective pest control agents. So why not, give them a try? Similarly, look at this RNAi technology. Already, USA has registered a product recently. I mean, I read it in the month of January itself. So what I wish to point out is that why do we wait for EPA to be the first to register such products? Why this first, in the race doesn't become, a habit of we Indians, we need to take up this, leadership role and come up with our own products and see that we indigenously, have these technologies available for pest control. Depending totally, always, so far I think when we talk of pest control, I would say it is only dependent on foreign experts, foreign technologies, foreign products, foreign this. Our people are feeling proud only in saying that we have started the indigenous production. Someone says I have taken Japanese technology. Someone says look at the industry. Except one or two, of course, UPL and others you cannot match. I mean they are unparalleled Indian companies. But overall, if you see, it is mostly, of course, the good thing is that now lately this concept is changing. They are now starting their own R&D centers and other things. But in the past, it has been horrible, very poor on research and development front. Even, quality control at most industries levels is just worth the name only. Nothing serious into it. And probably that is why we lose our battles. I think these are some of the suggestions. If we try to adopt them, we can manage the things on our own and effectively.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Parmar, for highlighting the importance of natural products also in effective crop protection, and also importance of indigenous development of our own products. So we would like to hear from Dr. Katti about any of the success stories on this aspect.
Yeah, I think in the last 2 decades, globally, we have got significant developments in research and development, particularly with reference to different parts of different components of IPM. If you go component-wise, if you take, for example, pest forecasting and surveillance is a very important component of pest management. So even speaking in our own country, we now have developed a national e-surveillance system wherein we can use the GPS and GIS systems to monitor or forecast the pest populations, even trace the movement of these pests across the states in our diversified country. Particularly in a diverse country like India, we need to really track the movement of the pests, particularly those polyphagous pests or pests capable of migration. And we have developed a national e-surveillance system, and this has been successfully adopted in terms of cotton. Even in terms of rice also, we have no mechanism wherein we can monitor the pest population across the states or across the ecosystems. We also now have further advances wherein we have AI-powered development of AI-powered drones, which can give us a very potential future for the accurate forecasting of the pest populations. In addition to that, we have some specific techniques like using the pheromone-mediated monitoring systems. This we have successfully adopted in case of rice. We have yellow stem borer monitoring adopted across the rice ecosystems in the country using the sex pheromone trap. That technology is very well available and even being adopted by the farmers. Then coming to the host plant resistance. Now, host plant resistance also we have development of multiple pest resistant varieties. Earlier, we used to have only single pest resistant varieties, but now we have multiple pest resistant varieties. I mean, the variety is resistant to both pests and diseases. We have examples in rice, we have examples in cotton, even as per the traditional or conventional means, and other crops also. In addition to that, as I said, application of biotechnology, the success of BT cotton is very well known. Although in recent times, as I said, with the changing Indian agriculture, we will definitely encounter problems. with the development of technologies. But fairly speaking, I think BT cotton has been a very successful venture in India. Now we need to refine it, make it adaptable to the changing situations. In addition to that, we have, as I said, multiple pest resistant varieties in the rice, wheat, wherein in case of wheat, we have disease resistant varieties because diseases are more prominent. In addition to that, we have millets, horticulture and vegetable crops also. We have successful examples of resistant varieties. Now, again, the host plant resistance, mainly two types of biotechnology applications that we have seen. We have transgenic crops. There's a lot of debate going on about transgenic crops, but we cannot rule out the utility of a transgenic crop if it is used wisely. But in addition to that, now earlier, when you transfer a foreign gene into an organism, it has started raising environmental concerns. But scientists have come forward. Now they have developed newer techniques of editing a gene or a genome that makes it more safer, because we are not introducing any foreign gene into a plant system. So these again can give good results. Already abroad, we are already finding some disease resistance as well as insect resistance cultivars. But right now in India, it is going to pick up. But it has got a very potential future and a safety point of view. But I would always advise all the recent technology adaptation should be done with cautious optimism. Wherever possible, we would like to encourage the traditional forms of resistance development, including in hybrid crops, hybrid vegetables or fruits. And also, when you come to the question of pesticide use now, many of the times, and in fact, it has become a little bit of more fashionable to criticize the pesticide role. And in fact, I am finding it, I'm basically a toxicology person, and last 50 years, I have found a lot of criticism over pesticide use. And no one says that no system is perfect or no component is perfect. So that applies to pesticide also. But I definitely agree, the perceptions about pesticide use has changed. Now, if you talk of in the modern sense, earlier when you talk of pesticide application, we used to tell about 3 R's: residues, resistance, and resurgence. But now 3 R's have changed. Now, when you talk of pesticide application, the 3 R's, one R stands for research. Now, research has advanced now into development of safer alternatives of pesticides, chemical pesticides, as well as inclusion of bioproducts, and even for that matter, microbial pesticides also. So one R stands for that. The second R is the responsibility. I would still say that for any cautious use of pesticide use, the responsibility directly falls not only on the client or the farmer, it also falls on the public or private sector stakeholders who are involved in recommending a pesticide. So it's a collective responsibility. The third part is the regulation. Now, regulation is very important. I think government also has started taking this into considerations. The regulation is very important, particularly from the quality assurance point of view, because nowadays there are a lot of recommendations regarding the use of botanical pesticides, but unless you assure quality assurance for non-chemical products, then I think it becomes very difficult. So these 3 R's are very important. And I have always maintained that the four rights have to be followed in case of pesticide use: right, chemical, method, time, and dose. These 4 rights, unless a farmer does it, I think it is very difficult to correctly exploit the use of a pesticide. But one possible solution which has been given by the scientific advancement is the introduction of drones. Now, drones, application of drones or application of pesticide through drones has definitely given us a way to very wisely use the pesticide at the right dose and reach the effective target also. So these are some of the issues which are very important from the point of view of components. Now, if you talk of even the success story, I can definitely talk about rice, because in the last 25 years, I know we have developed location-specific integrated pest management modules, which are applicable across the agroclimatic zones. We have developed, we have delineated 7 agroclimatic zones for rice cultivation, and we have IPM module for each of these zones. And most of the time when the farmer implements it becomes the location specific. He has his own variations. And we also encourage an indigenous practice adopted by a farmer if it gets integrated into a IPM modules. And sometimes we have even taken the farmers' practice for verification at the research farm level, and then we have tried to integrate it in our IPM model so that it can be useful for the farmers of that particular region.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Katti. You nicely brought up 3 R's like research, responsibility, and regulations. And also the example you gave on this location-specific module for rice. This clearly shows that the forecast and surveillance also important so that the farmer or the dealer can recommend the right product so that the farmer can use the right product. So this story really helpful to understand the importance of the forecasting. And also you mentioned about the pheromones and all. It's they're playing a role here. That will also help us to monitor the important pest so that the right product can be used by the farmer to protect his crops and also protect his yield. With this discussion on the challenges and also the how we can effectively use and also to learn from the case studies, what would be the key role for the stakeholders in the public and private partnership so that the crop protection tools are promoted so that they will be used in a safe manner in our agriculture?
Well, I will only say that the roles are very well defined. We know what extension people are supposed to do. We know what the others are supposed to do. The only thing is that they have to deliver. We need to now, critically examine how effective our, various organizations are in taking the laboratory work to the fields. If that is satisfactory, I see no problem in the system. But if it is not, then we have to critically, work out some alternatives, how to ensure it. And I need not say much, because we all know what is happening at the ground level.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Parmar. Actually, you are bringing the gap between the farmers and also the technology, so that the extension members or extension team in the Department of Agriculture and also in the research institutes and other NGOs should play an important role so that they will take the right message to the farmers. So thank you for bringing that important work to be done by these extension workers. We will hear from Dr. Katti about this question.
I think I am a very strong proponent of public-private partnership. In fact, I am a little disappointed that this should have come about 2 decades back, I would say. Since 2000 itself, if we had gone for public-private partnership in terms of, there are 2 aspects involved in this. One is the development of a technology, and the third is the dissemination of technology. And in both these fields, the public and private partnership have to come together. As I earlier told, farmers' decision-making process is a multi-stakeholder situation. So when we say stakeholder, when we talk of public sector, we talk of government, policymakers, as well as the scientists involved in public sector organizations. And we talk of private sector, we talk of private concerns or the NGOs, the other organizations involved in the dissemination of technology. So initially, you take, for example, development of a technology. You all know, in fact, private people are more aware of this part, that how the costs are increasing in development of a technology. Not only any product as such, individual product as well as the development of technology, very huge costs are involved. And I think the governments all over the world are not capable of handling this technology development or the research costs on their own unless they get the active cooperation from the private sector. At the same time, the private sector also has to realize that the government government cannot completely support them in every aspect. There is to be the most important thing is the trust between public and private partnership is very important. Trust factor is very important. Government has to believe that private sector can actively contribute in certain areas, and the private sector also has to be supported with the authentic material, because most of the resources are under the control of government in many of the countries. So unless the government makes them freely available for the private sector to come in, I think that becomes little trickish also. The second part is the dissemination part. Now, dissemination part, one classic example I am going to give is that if you all see that in the last 5 years, I think many with the development of mobile phone based technology for dissemination, many sectors for the many organizations, including public and private sector, I will take only single crop as rice. I think at least I can find 50 to 60 apps operating in the country which give advice on rice integrated pest management. Now, if you give this information to the farmer, he will really, it becomes very difficult for him to know which one is authentic or which one to follow. So unless we come to a single window for the dissemination of a technology, where the farmer should have a single source of for authentic information on integrated pest management. And for this, the government as well as the private sector, they have to come together and they have to make a very intense effort. The mechanism, if you see, farmer first, the first information, the farmer technical authentic information he gets from the State Department official. Then if the State Department official is not available to him, which is mostly the case because of the increasing population of our country, we don't have sufficient staff at the village level. So most of the time he goes to the private dealer, who is, as Dr. Parmar has pointed out, unless he is an educated or a well-intentioned person, he most of the time he is interested only in selling his product. So most of the time he follows the information of that product. Then the farmer also gets advice from experts like us, scientists, or even the private sector people who do our research on our own, and we want to see that our technology should be implemented with the farmer. We go directly approach the farmer. We tell him that this product is good or this technology is good. Then he also has one separate government mechanism of which operates under Directorate of Plant Protection, Quarantine and Storage under the Ministry of Agriculture. They have IPM centers across the country, and so they also send the information. But most of the time, since agriculture is a state subject, the information is always filtered through State Department officials who will give the information, correct information to the farmer after getting information from all the sectors. So unless we all come together, not only in terms of developing a product, but at the time of disseminating a product, I think this becomes a very challenging task. In fact, I think this is going to play a major role if we really talk of effective implementation of a technology in the farmer's field. Now, again, I am very happy to or very proud to say that I was a part of this process. In fact, I would say I would give credit to Corteva also, because they have a product. You take the, for example, triflumesopirim. This product, Pexalan, you people really tested it against brown plant hopper. You did it in your research farm. You went across the farmers' fields and you did it on your own. Later on, you also approached rice, and we have All India Coordinated Rice Improvement Project with multi-location testing centers. We tested the product, and for the first time, I don't remember in my personal career an example. I remember in the Nalgonda district, we selected a few farmers. Corteva, that time it was DuPont. So it was involved in the field testing of the product in the farmers field for 2 seasons we have done. And I made sure that all ICAR research organization was involved, State Department officials were involved, NGOs were involved, and the farmers themselves were, and because it was a farmers participatory mode of research. So every stakeholder involved, he was given an opportunity to give his input. And you already know that how successful this product has been. It is not to promote a product. My point is, if everyone comes together, we can definitely get a product which can be, you can easily convince the farmer also to use the product wisely, because I remember the recommendation is only single application of this product. You have, and for the first time I realized that the Corteva told you have to apply only singly, because most of the time, many of the companies, they advocate 2 or 3 or times of application of insecticide. But as I said, the perspective about insecticide use has changed. Now we have products which are very effective at very low dose and very safe, and they have a longer shelf life also, and they have a longer persistence or effectiveness also. So these are some of the aspects which are very much involved in a pesticide, product dissemination or IPM dissemination. And public-private sector partnership is, I feel, is one of the major ways of going forward for a effective implementation of a crop protection technology to tackle whatever challenges also we face in the future.
I'll just like to add, that Dr. Katti has used 2-3 terms, very effectively. One is the authentic word. Secondly, sincerity of purpose. And, he has repeatedly said that we have to all come together. If that can happen, and if that happens, I can assure you there will be no problem of any type. The problem is how to make it happen.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Katti and Parmar. Dr. Katti nicely brought out the importance of all the stakeholders' involvement, especially in the development of technology as well as its dissemination. And he gave one of the examples based on his collaboration with Corteva as well, the Pexalon, the rice BPH product. So here, the private-public partnership plays an important role in disseminating the technology, which is either available by the private sector or in the public sector. So everyone is responsible, as Dr. Parmar also pointed out. So to sum up on the major challenges and on this responsible usage of crop protection. So to begin with, the right product availability for the right pest or disease or the weed control. For this, the quality of the product is important, and also the how to handle that product, the safe handling of the product is also important. So to disseminate that, educating the farmer, dealer, or distributor, whoever is involved in this entire cycle, is very, very important to educate them to so that the right product will be used at right dosage with the right application as well. That is very, very important. As Dr. Katti and Parmar brought out, the current scenario, new technologies are coming and new tools are available. Farmer should get the right message, like the important mobile applications and all. Instead of multiple applications, that should be a centralized application or some kind of authentication needs, so that all the tools recommend the right message. So these are all some of the important points to take to reach the farmer, so that he will use the right product at right time. And education is important. And finally, the partnership with all the stakeholders. Either it's a private company who is developing the technology or the research institutes developing the technology, and also the government. They play an important role, especially in agriculture sector, because their extension work is very, very important to reach out to the farmers, because still farmers depend on them for some of the important recommendations. And this role is very, very important, especially extension worker role. So private can also partner, and we are partnering with them. And as Dr. Katti brought this one, the trust between the private and public and also the government is very, very important. And the authentic messages needs to be done. And all the products are developed with some basic research and also field research. The products are recommended. But in today's scenario, because of the changing weather condition, the pest profile is changing. And if that product needs to be handled differently, we may need to quickly make aware of those aspects, so that the farmer will understand and he will effectively utilize that one. Thank you for your participation, Dr. Parmar and Dr. Katti. It's a nice discussion. Hope the viewers will learn about important challenges and how we can mitigate those challenges in responsible usage of crop protection, so that the farmers can protect their yield, and by this he can maintain the profitability and his livelihood will be changed. And with this, we will make the environment safe, and this agriculture is sustainable, so that we will improve the production to feed the growing population. Thank you all.
Thank you.